If you've ever been in an IEP meeting and you're unsure about extended school year, who qualifies, what it actually is, or what you're even supposed to teach, this video will make it really clear. Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel from the Behavior Check-In, and I'm a K-12 behavior specialist and special education teacher, and I help teachers with real strategies for real classrooms. This time of year, ESY comes up a lot, and it gets confused with summer school all the time. ESY is not about catching students up, it's about maintaining critical skills. So let's break down what actually matters and what this looks like. What ESY is and is not. It is not summer school. Summer school is for extra practice, catching up academically. ESY is for maintaining IEP skills so they're not lost over the break. I want you to think of it this way. If a student is likely to lose important skills over a break, ESY should be considered. You should have been tracking your data throughout the year, so it's usually pretty quick to look at your data, look at your graphs, and see if ESY should be something that you're recommending. Who qualifies for ESY? There are a few things that teams look at, and you don't need to overcomplicate this. First one is regression and recruitment. Do they lose skills, and how long does it take for them to get those skills back after a long break? So for example, a student may stop using their communication routines after a break and it takes 2 weeks to regain them. If that is the case, then you may want to look at doing ESY services. The second one is critical point of instruction. Are they right on the edge of an important skill? For example, a student just started using their AAC device independently, and we're worried they're going to lose that over the break, and we want to keep those skills up. Number 3, severity of need. Do they require consistent support to maintain these skills? For example, students who rely heavily on structure or adult support to be able to do the things they need to do. 4, rate of progress. Did it take a really long time to gain a skill that could be lost quickly? An example of this could be a student who took months to build a skill that may regress over break. When I was teaching early childhood, this was often used for students we worked really hard on restroom skills for, and we were afraid they might lose those, especially if they're getting ready to go into kindergarten. 5, behavior and regulation. Does behavior significantly increase after break? So examples we might see are increased aggression, more refusal, or difficulty regulating. If this is the case, ESY can be really beneficial in helping them ease back into the new transition of starting school back up again. So you're not looking for perfection, you're looking for what happens when services stop and how the student responds. That's the real key point here. Let's talk about ESY versus comp services. And I really think this is important because they are not the same. ESY is preventative and maintains skills. Compensatory services, or comp services as some people call them, it is about making up services lost. So this is used if maybe you didn't have services for whatever reason. That's why supporting communication or behavior skills or IEP skills over the summer. Comp services is making up missed sessions from earlier in the year. I want you to think of it this way. ESY protects progress. Comp services make up for lost time. Or what ESY should look like. It is not a full school day. It's not new curriculum, and it should not be busy work. ESY is focused on practice and repetition and structured support. We are focusing on those IEP skills. So for example, if you have a student who is working on the communication skills, you may be practicing communication during those activities. You may be practicing those structured transitions, and you may be guiding or keeping up the momentum in task completion. We really want to think of ESY as maintaining the skills, not maximizing the skills. When we're graphing it and tracking it, we want to make sure that we are seeing that child be able to maintain and retain those skills. How do we talk about ESY in IEP meetings? This can get kind of complicated at times. We want to keep it simple for the best impact. So one way that you could say this is based on observed regression following breaks. The team is recommending ESY to maintain the current skill levels. Or the student is at a critical point of instruction and a break in services may result in a loss of progress. I think it's really important to differentiate this because sometimes parents think that their kids are getting extra help and they don't realize that they're working on maintaining those skills. And I think it's really important to clarify that. So if you're heading into ESY conversations, remember, it's not summer school. It's not about catching up. It's about protecting progress your students have already made. And if you're looking for some ways to track that progress, I'm going to jump in and show you the system that I use so that you can see how I track that progress and monitor it during ESY. This is my ESY tracker, and this is what I use to keep track of everything for ESY. So down here is my whole tracker with my dashboard. So this is obviously a sample. I just kind of want to show you the gist of it, but you can put the students in, you can put in the service type, the minutes, and we can calculate the percentage. You can see all of this at a glance. This will make it super easy to write your progress at the end of ESY. And I think it's really helpful to have that because when I first started teaching ESY way back in the day, I was scrambling and putting way too much time into writing my reports because I was hunting down all of this data. So this is why I like to use this chart. Basically how you set it up is you just come in here to the roster and it says start here, and you can go and input all the information that you need in there, and you have it all ready for you, even down to the different goals, goal descriptions. You can do up to 3 goals in here, and then it will track in the minutes that correlate to that goal with what you input. Then you have a service minutes tab. So you have the week, and this is all like, you can edit this to whatever you need, and you just put in how many minutes you serve them on that day, and then it just calculates it, and it does it for however how many weeks you set up for ESY. You can also take attendance. If you've ever done ESY before, you know that attendance can be a very important thing. Sometimes kids don't show up. That can impact progress. So it is really important to have that attendance in there so you can state that or have that evidence if need be. And then I have a place in here for the goals. So you have your students, you have the different goals that were imported that you did on your roster. And then you can go ahead and just calculate the percentage for each session that you worked on those goals, and it just keeps it all in one place so you can look at it really quickly at a glance. And you can even see at the end it'll tell you where they were at. So this is just super easy to like plug and play into your progress charts, which makes things a lot easier. This is one of my favorite parts right here. This is the progress charts. So then you can end up seeing, make it smaller so you can see, but it just shows the progress of how the student is doing, and you can see that for each student that you put it in. You can see their progress. You have the little graphs. So this is really helpful when you're keeping this for your compliance. If this video was helpful, make sure you like and subscribe for more behavior and special education strategies, and I will see you in the next video.